All right. Well, I want to welcome everybody to our next business spotlight on behalf of the San Clemente Downtown Business Association. My name is Chris Aitken. I'm the present chair of the SCDBA, and very happy to welcome our friend Raad to has joined us and has been really a fixture in San Clemente for quite a long time. So welcome to the spotlight.
I was just laughing, Chris. You calling an interior designer a fixture? My mind went somewhere else. It's like, oh, am I a light fixture? Am I a piece of furniture? I don't know. But yes, like it or not, a fixture at San Clemente.
Well, let's talk about that fixture. Let's talk about your background with San Clemente, your design business, and kind of give us some of your history with San Clemente and your business.
Sure. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. It's really nice, and I just want to give you guys kudos for doing a great job during this very difficult time in the downtown. You guys, I mean, the game has been really upped, and at one point I was actually on the board a long time ago, and so it's really great to see that the organization really do well. A little background really quick. I mean, I moved to San Clemente probably in '87. I wasn't doing interior design at the time, ended up going and pursuing another degree in interior design, ended up working for a couple of very large firms, like number one, number two internationally. And one of them, the last one I worked for, is a company by the name of WAT&G. It's the Ziggurat building in the Spectrum area. Used to be on the Back Bay on University in Newport Beach. 75 years actually at this point. Hotel design worldwide. If you named 8 properties anywhere, they would probably be responsible for like 7 of them, kind of thing. And I remember now being in San Clemente, this is about 2002, 2003 maybe. There's this good old little project called the Casa Romantica Cultural Center and Gardens that was starting to happen. And I was trying to get it for the firm to do because I thought it would be right up our alley, or maybe on a smaller scale, but I wanted it because it was in my own hometown. And I ended up leaving the firm in 2003. And that was a project, my very first project that I did on my own after leaving WAT&G was the Casa Romantica Cultural Center and Gardens. And that was a beautiful project. Very little fee, but I got paid in full with bottles of red wine by Tony Carbonara and Bob Navarro at the back patio, and cigars. Thank you, Bob. It was a really interesting project because it got me really into the historical fabric of San Clemente. The reason why the frames on the windows are green is because we showed restraint and actually stripped down the paint color and went back to the original. It's a beautiful project, and as they say, no good deed goes unpunished. So my good deed then led me to being volunteered onto the Historical Society board. And I was on there for 13 years, including president for 1 term. Again, very, very, we have a very unique community. And I think we have a lot of layers to the community. And I'm very grateful to be a fixture in San Clemente. And like I said, I've served on the DBA. I was part of the Beaches Parks and Rec Foundation for a while. I mean, our town is a very small town. Once you get engaged, and I always said, San Clemente is like a functional or dysfunctional extended family, depending on what the day of the week it is. And I wouldn't live anywhere else. As we may be over engaged, and you can see like with the toll road, people show up at the city council. But I would rather live in a community that's really engaged than one that's not. And so it continues to be true. Sometimes we're at odds with one another, but there's so many layers to San Clemente. It's really a very rich place to be. And I love practicing my business out of here. Again, doing hospitality work still. When I went out on my own, I realized that the level of experience and expertise that we did and provided for these large players like Hilton and Hyatt and whatever, that was equally critical, if not more so, to the food and beverage owner, the restaurant owner, the retail guy. Anybody in a brick and mortar basically was subject to the same economic forces, but their impact was even heavier because they couldn't basically write off a bad project, go, oh, well, we'll make it up on next year's budget. You could lose your mortgage. You could basically, be sunk as a businessman. So you needed a level of expertise that came in a sophisticated manner. So I started doing that. I've done day spas, Monarch Beach was one of the more recent ones where we redid the locker rooms. Cecilia's Tortilla Grill on La Paz is mine. Casa Romantic I mentioned. The spa at what is now the Cape Ray down in Carlsbad is mine. So, you know, and I do residential as well, because what usually happens is you interact with somebody and they go, well, you know, I really like the way you guys work on things. And would you look at my home? Or more recently, we've been doing home offices, or you know, reinventing sort of the entertainment centers in homes, because they're no longer just where you have big TV. In some cases, people are maybe, you know, doing Zoom calls like we're doing right now, or they may be doing classrooms, you know, for kids when they were basically at home being schooled, or even running a business. Like you might be running a retail business out of your home, and that entertainment center needs to have that. Your home office, you know, we've been doing home offices, and recently I've been putting in roll down green screens that are hidden by the edge of the shelf, so that you can have a green screen right literally behind you. You just pull it down and boom, you got a green screen. I just did one for a doctor up in Villa Park, and he's doing telemedicine out of his home because he doesn't want to just go down to the office to do it. So anyway, the idea is that, you know, we're very agile. We're always responding to people. We're providing a business consultancy in a way, but it just happens to manifest itself in a physical environment, right? So, and my background prior to interior design is I have a master's degree in marketing from the Peter Drucker Center. I have an undergraduate in economics. So my brain tends to work left brain, right brain all the time. The aesthetic is one component, but if you're going to spend money on something, I expect that you should have a return, some sort of rate of return on that investment. You know, real estate is at a premium. Even now, you know, real estate prices, lease by, you know, if you got 1,000 square feet and you're paying $5 a square foot, that's $5,000 before you even switch on your light. If you're not generating a revenue, maximized revenue out of that square footage, there's a problem, and you should be assessed, because you need to get a little bit more creative about what you're offering, how you're competitive, et cetera. People are going to look, what's that got to do with interior design? Well, interior design provides you the stage upon which you perform your business. And if that stage is not integrated into your unique value proposition, then you're wasting money, and it should be. And you're entitled to that. It's just a matter if you're talking to the right people when you're strategically planning for it. Anyway, so that's the interior design side of things.
Well, in the midst of all this, Raad, I've been on your show, to Raad Life, and you did an amazing show, done it for several years. So in the midst of all that,
yeah,
you had a show, and you actually have a production company. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, how that all came about?
Yeah. Let me do this too, because, and I think this is a good segue, because, you know, like everybody else, March came around and we're like, oh, there's this thing called COVID. Well, you know, it'll be around for 2 weeks. And then we're all just going to go back, you know, just like a bump in the road, you know. This is great. I get a chance to basically not do anything for 2 weeks. Awesome. I can't get a break anyway, right? So this works. So here comes March, and now all of a sudden it's not 2 weeks. Now it's longer. And now, you know, a couple of things are happening. One is that in my business, it's pretty much a luxury product business. And even if it's a business, like if my client is a business person, at that moment in time, it was uncertain. Like, am I going to have a business in a month? Am I going to have money coming in from a salary next month? So in good conscience, I couldn't go out and sell somebody on a house worth of furniture, or remodeling, or let's give you a room addition, or, you know, let's remodel your restaurant. So I needed to have something that would be relevant, but at the same time would occupy me, because the alternative, I mean, you know me, I've got my fingers in many things. So, you know, to just sit there and twiddle my thumbs was not my style. Right. So one of the things that I had is the Raad Life, which you've been on as a guest a couple of times. And that show's been on the air for about five years. It's in collaboration with Orange County OC Talk Radio, which used to be out of near South Coast Plaza. Now it's actually, as of this month, part of the incubation center at UCI. That we've moved over there, and it's a bit at a bigger studio. So I'm looking forward to basically, you know, broadcasting from there once we're through. But I needed to basically figure out a way to also stay in touch with people. So what I started doing is I started doing more interviews of the Raad Life. And that actually give me a connection like with you. Like I could check in with you, see, well, what's going on, how are we dealing, how are we faring through this COVID thing. And in the course of doing more and more shows, and with Zoom taking on, a lot more people were coming to me and saying, look, how do I basically start doing digital content development? And how do I do it strategically correct? Because there is many out there that are doing it wrong, not because of anything other than they don't know how. And they're, having done my show for 5 years, I've kind of learned through, you know, knocking my knees into things and learning the hard way. So I wanted to bring that knowledge base to other people who may be developing other shows, you know, try to maybe strategically talk them through, like, well, let's talk about what your show is, what you want to do with it. How do we make sure that you have a sustainable life of more than, you know, 6 episodes? Or maybe that's all you should be doing, you know? And so there's a strategy that goes into that programming. So Golden Seal Productions was born, and goldensealproductions.com is the website. And we basically have been producing other shows. We've launched a number of them during the course of COVID. I've got I'm excited about a new one coming up in January with Vicki Patterson, who is going to basically be doing it from the back of her boat in Dana Point, called The Sea and Me. And it's kind of an eco-friendly show. But again, you know, it's like local talent. It's finding people that I believe, just like yourself, actually, I've tried talking you into doing one, right? And Chris keeps saying, no, but I'm not giving up, right? So people who have a voice, and it's not just a matter of just like they sound good, they actually have something to say. And giving them the right platform to do that makes for good content that out there, you know, we have a lot of noise. We have a lot of noise, you know, a lot of, God knows, a lot of misinformation, all this stuff. Quality content that you can count on, I think if anything, this last election cycle has taught us, is that quality content that I can count on and trust is golden. Golden seal, if you will, right, of approval. It's golden, and we need more of that. And if I can do something to provide people with a platform and guide them in doing that, it's awesome. I've got a lady right now who's a former friend of mine from college in Switzerland, and she basically and her boyfriend started a racing school called DK Racing up in Willow Springs. Okay, I literally did the graphics for her show Dare to Be Different with Martina Kwan before I jumped on the air with you. And she's over there interviewing an Olympic downhill racer that is that's inspirational, you know, life coach. And so giving an opportunity for Martina to enhance her voice and through a platform gives me a warm and fuzzy. And I feel like we're putting out content out there that is of quality versus just noise. Because I don't know about you, I can't handle the noise. The cacophony of noise out there is ridiculous. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I want content that I can count on, that I can also trust.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it has been tough out there, and I think, you know, through all this, you know, when COVID started, you've also had you know, another major pivot. We're talking about pivots, and you
have to, you know, part of it, Chris, is like sort of survival instinct, right? But in my case, you know, call it also the curse or the blessing of having a creative element that has to be factor in somehow. So like being able to actually provide guidance, if you will, and design shows for people and give them the opportunity to basically now run with it, right? And possibly give them an outlet, kind of like a channel, the distribution channel through Orange County Talk Radio, which I shout out to Paul Roberts for having allowed me to do this. It's a win-win all around. And you know, anybody who's interested, by the way, I'm just gonna put it out there, anybody who's interested in actually doing this, talk to me before. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to do it, because I would love to help you put one together. But I've seen a lot of people go down this path and basically not really poke holes into their premise early on. And in 6 months end up basically finding themselves either where they've committed to too much airtime, or who do I interview now? I have too narrow a focus, you know, that kind of stuff. So goldensealproductions.com, or, you know, you can trip over me probably on social media. Reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help. So I'm just putting it out there for people.
Well, I appreciate that. Tell me about another pivot. I mean, you've now been in development for some time of a product that's become pretty darn relevant these days. Tell me about how that occurred, and your mask company, and give me a little bit of background on that.
Right. So yes. So again, not to be sitting idle, we set up a mask company called Tailor Made Face Mask, and the website is right there, tailormadefacemask.com. Everybody keeps asking me if it's a Y or an I. No, it's not golf. It's an I. So Tailor Made Face Mask, as in tailoring.
Right.
Okay. And so I think the inspiration for this was necessity, one. Right. I don't know if people remember, but when this thing started in March, you couldn't get yourself a paper mask if your life depended on it. Like, right there,
Right.
It was all essential services, set aside for that. There were a lot of horror stories about, hospitals committing $1 million contracts for, mask orders from China, paying and having to pay $500,000 in order to initiate the order and never seeing a penny or a mask. It was Wild West days. And so for me, my parents are older. At that point, my mom was still alive. She passed in May, but my dad's older, my parents are older. I needed to basically figure out something that made sense. And I was looking around me and all these people were basically, struggling. And I was inspired by a lady by the name of Stephanie Odo. Stephanie Odo, who recently ran for city council in Laguna Niguel, actually. Stephanie started a sewing circle. And I don't know that Stephanie herself sews. I think it was just her organizational skill set from being, I think she was a city council person in Florida, in one of the towns in Florida, but she's one of us down here in South County. And she's a friend of my sister's. And all of a sudden, Stephanie on social media has got a growing circle of sewers, and they're all voluntarily making masks to donate. Again, back in those days, where back in those days, it was only 10 months ago, but back in those days when nonprofits didn't have masks, assisted livings didn't have masks, hospitals didn't have masks, so they started the circle to volunteer their time to channel that energy, and she was kind of coordinating it. Amazing job they did to basically make masks, and people were donating fabrics and what have you, right? And so I was kind of inspired by that. I actually even interviewed them on the show a couple of times, and that kind of gave me a little bug. And it's like my side of it was, I also saw some of the tailors that I knew, like the custom tailors that I knew, that were not working. Nobody was buying suits. Nobody was buying, expensive clothing. And so how do I channel resources into something? And I didn't want to I knew what was coming. The kind of the business head. I knew what was coming. What was coming was going to be low priced, quick fixes. I could get at CVS. I could get it wherever, I could get at Costco. So that would not make sense for me to position a market niche in that. However, I also knew that there were people like myself that were going to be looking for something that I could wear with as much care as I would select a pocket square, or what am I going to wear as a sports coat, right? So from there, and bringing in that sort of existing talent that was now uncertain, they're not working, we set up a company called Tailor Made Face Masks, and the premise was very simple. We're going to provide you a whole bunch of fabrics. You're going to select your own fabrics, and we're going to custom make a mask for you in 2 sizes. But it will be made to order for you, so you feel like you have a personality. The idea was, okay, we're all going to have to put these things on our faces, okay? But at least I could have a stylish form of expression that may be more reflective on what my mood is at that day or whatever I want to project. And as you remember, the COVID thing, like with the slowdown in businesses, it was gradual. We were still showing up at the offices or at places. We needed to have protection and all this stuff. So it started off with fabrics, and I'm going to just do some demonstrations while we're doing this, right? But it started off with things like this, like really nice shirting fabric, beautiful cotton, right? Really soft, right? Breathable, and you could even monogram. And so you could, you're wearing a nice jacket, nice sport coat. You could wear something like this. You could go out, I'm breathing very easily through this, okay? Because I'm not going to tell you what it is, but the way we designed these, there's a very easy flow of air. So you have the protection, but and again, these are non-surgical. I'll just say that right away, but they're reusable. Because the other thing I saw coming with all these orders that everybody's talking about is, well, where's all this disposable mask going to end up? Guess where they're going to end up? They're going to end up right there behind me. They're going to end up in the ocean. They're going to end up in the dump, right? And so I wanted to do something that was environmentally friendly and gives you a sense of personal expression. So, you know, we started with all these fabrics that were shirt fabrics. And of course, the women were now basically complaining to me because all the stuff was very men oriented. So what should they, but you know, I needed to represent. I said, okay, all right. So I'm just gonna show you a spattering of fabrics. I mean, like, you know, there's so many options on here that, you know, and this is just a handful. You know, I've got tons of these things, Chris, right? I mean, we even have animal prints now. I even have vinyl ones, and they go, well, how do you breathe through the vinyl? Because of the way the mask is designed, you breathe as easily through the vinyl, and the vinyl is wipeable. So you're going to be snowboarding. You're going to basically be in a lodge. You got water and moisture around. Guess what? Fabric isn't going to cut it for you. Vinyl will. You want a vinyl black crocodile. You want a vinyl ostrich. You want a python. Python is big as a pattern this season. So if you want python, he give you python. We also have animal prints that are fabric. So it's been kind of a fun thing to play with. But on the practical side, we also have reality. So we've done, like, we have layers of branded masks, right? So like Luciana's, here's a mask for Luciana that we did. Okay, Luciana's is a great restaurant in Dana Point for Italian food, really great. We did Luciana's. We've done one for the Orange County Business Council. Here's a shout out to Lucy Dunn. I did one. I donated actually a bunch of them for Agewell. That's an organization that's near and dear to my heart, and Steve over there, and so we did that. We then started, you know, this is my marketing head now going in. It's like, okay, well, I don't want to be limited to just basically printing on one side or having only like certain number of colors, black, gray, white, whatever, to make, right? I want a little bit more individual control. So we found another one, and we did a Ruth Bader Ginsburg mask, and that Ruth Bader Ginsburg mask initiated another pivot within the mask offerings. So we now can do, and this is how it starts off with, it's a blank canvas, okay?
Okay.
That blank canvas I can print on across the whole thing, and all of a sudden I got a Buffalo Soldiers mask on. Right?
Okay. All right.
Right. The lady that I mentioned, Martina Kwan, she wanted ones for her new whatchamacallit, racing school, right? So we did DK Racing. Here's the DK Racing mask.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Very cool.
The one that I'm really happy about, and I don't know if I have it here, is we also then wanted to, I'm on the board for an organization called the Arab American Civic Council that is out of Anaheim. And we wanted to designate that part of, like, formally designate or push for designation of that part of Anaheim that's called Little Arabia, which is basically Brookhurst and Bowl, that whole area, which unofficially has been referred to as Little Arabia forever. So what we did is we came up with a design that says designate Little Arabia. And I don't know if I have it here to show you, but basically the mask became a billboard for a campaign. The nonprofit basically was soliciting fundraising to make the mask possible and available for restaurants and businesses in the area that were signing onto the program. When the businesses signed onto the program, they basically committed to wearing the masks. That provided for a safety and PPE for the businesses. And it also, so it was a win-win all around. And it basically built in a ground roots effort to hopefully basically formulate enough of a critical mass to get the city council in Anaheim to designate that area as Little Arabia. So the mask became a fundraising tool for a nonprofit. It is also a branding tour for a company, right?
Right.
And so it's limitless, right? I even have ones, I mean, again, because of the way it is, I wanted to go to the gym. Well, I can't go to my regular gym. So I joined like Monarch Beach. They have an outside area for working out. Okay. Now my what do they call it? My ego basically has to play. And what am I going to wear? Like, I'm not going to wear a bandana to go work out. I'm not going to wear a red bandana to go work out, right? You know, maybe I'll wear some skulls and crossbones, but that might put on the wrong image. I can't wear the vote mask anymore because elections are over, right? So what am I going to wear? So I came up with some fitness masks.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's endless what we could do. And right now on that website, tailormadefacemask.com, under the shop, there's about 120 fabrics that you can pick from. Right. Okay. So again, what do we do with all those fabrics? I want to give people more options. So now you can basically pick any 2 fabrics you want. And we can do a reversible mask. Here's one. And that same mask I flip over and I can wear it this way.
Very cool.
So now you can do reversible masks. So you can get 2 masks in one. So you can get more wear. You don't need to buy 2 masks. You can buy 1 mask and get 2 looks out of it, right? So we've done, and this is all cotton, more or less, it's all cotton or cotton blend. So here's some plaids that we did for winter. There's a whole bunch of plaids, about 22 plaids in there, right? You really want to, just go out there, gun toting. Here you go. We got some camos for you too, right? So the thing about it is limitless, and I know that we potentially have a shelf life on this, but what has happened indirectly from doing this is it gave me something to do that I felt good about, because every time I sell a mask to somebody, they're using it, right? I've had people now basically buying them for their parents for Christmas, right? It's all handmade. It's all made to order. It's all washable, reusable. It's all made right here in Orange County, right? Whether it's the print or whether it's the tailor. It's all about 7 to 10 days turnaround. We even have the ability right now to take any graphic pattern that you may have, like let's say, H.H. Cotton's logo. I could take that and I could lay it out on 1 yard of fabric, and I could print that fabric, and you could get a tailored mask with your own logo, unique product, and you don't have, and there's no minimums. I'm doing no minimums. Again, part of this is also sort of giving back. I'm trying to, this is a relevant thing. And what's interesting, Chris, is in doing this, my reputation or my persona as a person who is in a creative field, who is doing something that's community oriented, has continued in a manner that I wouldn't have ever thought of in last March, right? But you kind of like following your idiom, here's another outlet kind of thing, right? And I know you've been very quiet, and you've been holding back to, and not giving it away, and I appreciate that. Okay, but here's something that you guys, everybody who's been watching this, has been looking at me all this time that I've been talking, and I apologize, I tend to run off. But this is something that is hitting the website today. I'm literally going to, when I get off this call, I'm going to basically be putting up the product on this page. There's going to be only about 50 of these items that can be purchased in this first collection. So if you want one of these, go and buy one, right? And I'm going to give you guys all a promo code in the end here that you can use for the DBA. If you're, because I really appreciate this. I'm a member of the DBA. We help each other out. We look out for each other, right? You can have that. You can get these. You can put them in your store. You can sell them. If you want to do something like that, contact me directly so we can talk about what those prices should look like. This is the most recent thing, and I've been so excited about this. I've been wanting to do this. I've been trying to do this for a month, and we finally got it figured out. Okay, so you have masks. Now winter has come. Winter, we wear scarves. So scarves and masks, right? Okay. I'm lazy. I don't want to have two items of clothing that I'm trying to figure out where the hell to put together, right? So we came up with the mask. What is a mask? Mask is a mask and a scarf. Okay. So what does that do? I'm going to show you how you put it on first, and then you'll see how it works. Okay. So here is a mask, and I apologize, the green screen is not really working very well, but here it is. You'll get the sense of it. So you got a mask. Here's the mask. Right. Now you notice this right here. This is my wind barrier too. Like I'm going to go up to Big Bear this weekend. Guess what? Hey, I'm going to wear my mask. So you put this over like this. You put this over like this. And then you take the mask off and you tuck it in. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is a mask. You want to put it back on? You flip it over. And the thing about this is it's not like a scarf where you're trying to basically tie it to your head. There's adjustable ear loops that go right on top. That's it. Tuck this in, zip up your jacket, you're good to go. Take it off, tuck it in, boom, there's your scarf. And you can tie it in and work it, use it as a scarf. So that's a Mars, and they'll be available on tailormadefacemask.com starting this evening or probably by tomorrow morning. Get them right away because, like I said, there's only about 50 of them. We are trying this out. There's preset fabrics. That being said, any of the fabrics that we have, the 120 fabrics that we have, we can also make them custom for you from those. They'll just take a little bit longer to make because these were ones that we kind of like already set up, trying to get people, if they're interested in getting them for the holidays. And again, you may find a little bit of Christmas stuff on the website. Some of it is even available for companies that may want to embroider their logo and then have a reversible mask where one side is their logo, the other side is something that's seasonal. That way, if I give you, Chris, one, you don't have to wear my brand on your face all the time. You can literally actually have a Christmas mask, for example, and then basically also have, you know where it came from because it's on the inside. But so there's a few Christmas ones, but on purpose, we did not do a lot for Christmas because we're trying to make this also something that you can buy today, you can wear in January, you can wear in February, you can give it away to somebody. And these are actually like a polyester blend because we are, after all, in Southern California. One last thing I will say was when we started with this company, we were only doing domestic. We now are able to actually ship internationally and we are able to take payments internationally. So if you place an order with us, we will ship it to you. If you, for whatever reason, want to send it to somebody directly, just let me know. But like I said, you can reach me through tailormadefacemask.com. I'm under no impression that this is going to last forever. But as long as it does, I'm trying to basically give people an opportunity to have an option that is stylish, that is self-expression, that, you know, is a little bit of interest for them, that puts their best face mask forward, if you will. And so that's, yeah, so that's the pivoting. And you and I talked a little bit about this, sort of the importance of this pivoting, right? And even though we may get out of COVID, which we will, and thankfully the vaccine will hopefully get more and more traction. If you're in the brick and mortar business, if you are in retail, if you are in food and beverage, you know this from your own investment, your own experience, right? Ownership. We're going to continue, and I'm going to just flip it back. So tailormadefacemask.com, everybody. If you're interested, please contact us there. goldensealproductions.com. If you are interested and want to do a podcast, contact me there. More than happy to help you. But I want to go back to this, right? Because at RGNA, we tell people we are in the creative solution business, right? Before COVID, retail, commercial real estate, food and beverage, bars were industries that had a very thin margin. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, in the case of retail, they were being bombarded by online sales. If anything, that's just expedited right now, right? And so once COVID is over, it's not like we are going to basically be in the good old days where everything is going to basically flow in. We're still going to be challenged by those market forces. We're going to be challenged by behavior patterns and purchasing behavior patterns that have now been adjusted for, you know, it takes 30 days for a new habit to form. We've had 10 months. So people are going to purchase differently. They're going to basically look for certain things in your space differently. Even if COVID is over, there's just going to be a sensitivity for a while. There's going to be kind of a memory thing about hygiene, cleanliness. You know, should you maybe basically put in a new air system that basically has a 99% control of particles? Yeah, you should. And can you do that where it's cost effective? Yeah, call me. I'll tell you how. Right? We've looked at resources like that because I knew full well the minute we basically started to wear these, right? That at some point we're not going to do this. At some point the solution has to be more than this and shutdowns. So how do we do that? We have to reinvent the environment. We have to basically also at the same time, if we are smart, we would take this restrictive time right now when we don't have to perform at 100%. Because we can't, and retool, reinvent, re-envision what is our business, what is our unique value proposition, is our offering, and whether you are retail, especially mom and pop, especially in the downtown areas, right? We were already bombarded by the big box stores. We're already bombarded by discount sellers. We're already bombarded by online sales. We knew last year that Black Friday was going to be a whole week, not one day anymore. This was already a trend that was going that way. Food and beverage is the same thing. Now that you have all this delivery that people have gotten used to. You have ghost kitchens now. There's all this stuff that basically are impacting the market that were coming. COVID may have expedited them, accelerated them. So what do you do? How do you creatively solve a challenge that you're facing? You really should be talking to people that can look at it in that sophisticated a manner. Because at the end of the day, the money that you spend, even especially coming out of this now where we have even less resources, the money that you are going to have to spend, you cannot not act, you cannot not adjust, has to really have a quantifiable, measurable way to speak to your bottom line, to have a return on your investment. And it could very easily happen that you talk to the wrong people and you end up wasting money. And right now, it's super critical that you don't. But at the same time, you got to compete. At the same time, how many restaurants are in the downtown area? How are they going to be all basically offering a unique value proposition? Anybody who's in retail is still paying top premium for that real estate.
Right.
I'll just use an example of a spa, for example. If a spa basically is going to open up, great. You're going to pay $5 a square foot, and in some cases it's a lot more right now, but I'll just use that as a simple math. $5 a square foot. You're going to take 2,000 square feet of a space. That's a big retail space. And you're going to basically provide massages. You provide something like that. What are you going to say to me? Oh, I'm thinking of putting in like nail salon. I want to do nails and pedicures and manicures. I'm like, okay. How many other nail service providers are within your 30-mile radius? Well, there's a Happy Nails down the street. There's one over there that all has back-to-back pedicure chairs in a row. Okay, what are they charging for their services? Oh, it's basically about $25, $30 a service, and then there's upsells of, do you want to buff on your nails and stuff like that, right? Did you think today that you were going to talk to another guy about buffing on the nails? I don't think you thought that, Chris. Right?
Wasn't part of the script.
So, well, your conversation with me, you and I, there's no script. So we
go way back.
Yeah, we go way back. So, but the point is this. Okay, if you've got all that competition happening around you, and you basically are not able to compete within that price point that they are offering, because you're paying $5 a square foot, you're not doing volume services. I would challenge you to say, whatever that square footage you were going to allocate for that. So let's say it was going to be 500 square feet or whatever, right? $800, if you did even less than that, $800 to $1,000 off your rent, you're going to be spending on an area that's going to be underperforming. Could we put something in there that is a unique offering that is not available in your area? Could we tie it in to where there's a support component that is not limited to somebody having to physically walk in? I'll give you a perfect example. You could do a facial product or lotion bar where people come in and based on their skin properties, their allergies, whatever, you could develop maybe a product or adjust a product to their own personal needs. Now that they have purchased this from spa, whatever, or whatever the location is, they now have a custom product that is catered and tailored to them. They don't have to come back in to buy it from you. They can order it, and you now have repeat sales that are happening that way. Are you set up to deal with that? Does your website have an e-commerce component? This is what I'm saying. Like, you need to basically think it through, because at the end of the day, every penny that you spend today on a physical environment that you are doing business in, whether it's a bookkeeping place, whether it's retail, whether it's food and beverage, there needs to be a return on investment that's about a 7-year shelf life. Hey, Rod, come in and help me do this. Great. I'm done now. You can go ahead and conduct your business. If you don't call me for 7 years, I'm happy as a clam, because guess what? We did our job right. And now you are off to the races, making money, conducting your business. not having to put more money in there to stay relevant, et cetera, et cetera. So the pivoting that we have basically learned how to do during COVID is something that we should be looking at continuing to enhance and utilize. Because when the conditions change and we are no longer wearing masks and we're all vaccinated, there's a leftover residual from this 10 months that we just went through. There's leftover residual from the economic conditions that were there before and are now even more heightened and more dire. So again, creative solutions, whether it's masks, whether it's podcasts, whether it's spaces, that's kind of what I do. So,
well, Raad, you know, you're clearly a jack of all trades. Really appreciate, you know, all the stuff you've done for, you know, in your different businesses in San Clemente. And I know you really care about our downtown, and I know you really care and have helped with the Historical Society. So, you know, really appreciate your time today. You I know you care about our town, and keep it up, and go onto Tailor Made Masks. .com, right? Did I get that right?
Tailor Made Face Masks.
And look at that. And I tell you, you got one order for me as far as your, what do you call it again? The
Mask.
Mask. I'm sorry, a mask. So
it's a mask with the R in the middle.
Got it. Thank you. Well, thanks. I appreciate your time, and we'll be talking soon.
My pleasure. And Chris, keep doing the good work too. I know you guys have been challenged, but you guys are really stellar. I really love what you guys are doing on your social media. You guys are doing a lot of promotion for your businesses. So I'm happy as a member of the DBA, and kudos to you guys. Thank you very much for all that you do for all of us.
Well, thank you for that. You know, I really appreciate that. It's, you know, it's a passion of the heart, and we really care. And I really appreciate those comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the time.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Happy holidays to you and yours.
Happy holidays.